Hello gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Solospelunking. And this is a special episode. As you can see from the setup, this is not my usual setup, and that is because I'm not at home in my gaming den. I'm actually at a friend's apartment in Switzerland, because we have a long weekend coming up because of a holiday, and I decided I will take or make use of the opportunity of these 4 days off and visit a lifelong friend of mine. So we have known each other for over 30 years, and we basically spent hours and hours and hours in my basement when I was still living at home with my parents, going to high school in the mid and early 90s. And we played the German classic fantasy RPG Das Schwarze Auge, or in English, The Black Eye. And we were a pretty tight group of 3 people. It was my friend that I'm visiting this weekend, another friend of mine that also does not live in Berlin anymore, where I used to live, and me. And I was usually the dungeon master, the game master. And we started. So Das Schwarze Auge is also in its 5th edition right now, and we started with 2nd edition and continued on to 3rd edition, but we didn't play after that. And basically when I left Berlin for Cologne, where I've been living now for the last over 20 years, this group sadly disbanded. But this is a trip now again down memory lane and nostalgia, because I bought a special product. This is the Kaiser-Retro-Box, so the Emperor Retro Box in English. And what this is a special re-release of the original 1st edition Das Schwarze Auge base game, together with a box that came out in the mid 80s for the GM that also included little monster pawns, monster standees, and little floor plans. And also this includes the first solo adventure published for das Schwarze Auge. It's called Nedim, die Tochter des Kalifen, or in English, basically the Caliph's daughter, Nedim, where you had to free this Nedim out of a palace from an evil sultan, basically. And so I got this re-release, this box, and I'm going to unbox it now so that we can play it while I'm here and take a trip down memory lane and relive our first steps playing fantasy role-playing games. I have set aside couple of minutes to do this unboxing. My friend is out walking his dog, and so this is what I will be doing, and this is a blind unboxing, so I have no idea, but well, I do have an idea of the content of this box because it says it on the back, but I don't really know how it's actually done, because it's a re-release, just like they did with the old Dungeons and Dragons book. But it's a pretty feisty, pretty hefty box, and pretty heavy. And you can see it is still wrapped in the foil. So I'm going to unwrap this now. And then we will see what is inside. All right. So, and if this is a little bit shaky, this is because, like I said, I'm not in my gaming den and I have my mobile set up with me. So just my normal selfie stick that I have used before and no other fancy stuff. All right, so this format is pretty unusual because it's pretty long. So if I put it like this, it doesn't entirely fit onto the camera. But yeah, let's open it up. But first, let me show you these old 80s style illustrations. And this was actually the cover of the first boxed set. And here it says Abenteuer Basisspiel, which is like the basically like the base or core game. And yeah, and these are the illustrations. And this is like the black eye that gave this game system its name. All right. So let's see what is in the box. Let's open it up. Ooh. All right, so this this is a mask that was included in like back in the 80s in this set that is also included here, that included the pawns. That is a mask that you as a GM could wear, and this one is made out of foam, and but back in the day it was made out of cardboard. It was a cardboard mask, and this one is made out of foam and with a rubber string. So for pure nostalgia, if you're so inclined, if you're the game master, you could wear this foam, rubber foam mask. All right. And here we have an info pamphlet, and yeah, and they have re-released some older adventures. Yeah, and so this is an expansion set to the base game, the first expansion set to the base game, and it included some colorful maps, and these are like the first adventures that were released for this game. I've actually played this one when I was a kid, and I think I've played this one as well. I haven't really played the other ones. All right, so, and here, this is the first rule book that came with the game when it was released. And it's called Das Buch der Regeln, so it would translate to basically the Book of Rules. And back in the day, there was also a little subtitle. Also, the adventures had a little subtitle. And here it says, Oder das Gesetz des Schwarzen Auges, which translates to, or also known as, you could say, the law of the black eye. So these are the first game rules that were released in the first book. And I think this set was a Kickstarter, but I'm not sure. So this is really like a German classic, what I'm unboxing here. Yeah, all right, so it goes on an introduction. Yes, and this was the first character sheet that you had. And you had 5 ability scores. That was your level. You had your HP. And Das Schwarze Auge uses a system of points to cast. So every spell you cast costs points, magic points. And those are tracked here. And if you're running out of magic points, you couldn't cast anymore. But there was no such thing as spell slots, for example. And das Schwarze Auge also had an active defense mechanism. So your combat values were attack and parry, and you would have to roll under these with a d20. So your opponent, he had to roll a successful attack, but if he did, you had the opportunity to roll a parry, a successful parry. If you would roll under your parry score, you would block the attack. And armor would provide you with a damage reduction, but also encumber you, so it would reduce your combat stats. So you couldn't attack and parry as well because your movement was impeded, but it provided you with damage reduction. And yeah, so this was the system of active attack and parry, so that you really had like the feel when you were engaged in combat with rolling attacks and parry of an actual sword fight duel, basically. And here it's like when you were facing multiple opponents, that was pretty nasty, because you only had one attack and one parry each round. So if you would face, for example, 3 opponents, and the first one would hit and you would parry and the second one would hit, you would not be able to parry anymore because you only had one attack and one parry, which is basically like your actions. So you were at a disadvantage, yeah, as it is nowadays as well, when you were fighting more than one opponent. Yeah, all right, so that was the first document where you would create your hero. And you would, this is a roll under system. It uses only a d20 and d6, so no polyhedral die. So here you can see a nice illustration, a fighter, a dwarf, an elf, and they were just revealing a roll. Here we have some 80s style hero illustrations. And what you would do is you would roll your ability scores, and you would roll 1d6 and you would add 7 to the roll. So and here, so you could have ability scores from 8 up till 13 when you create your character, when you start. And remember, it is a roll under system. Like, for example, if you had dexterity 11 and you had to do a dexterity check, you would have to roll a d20, and anything from 1 to 11 would be a success. And if the check or the task is hard or was harder, the GM could assign a penalty which you would have to add to your roll. And if it would, or if the task was easier, you could subtract something from your roll as determined by the DM. All right, here we have another nice black and white illustration. So here we have an example character sheet filled out. And here the combat rules are explained, as you can see from these illustrations here. Well, yeah, it did have, as an optional rule, it did have critical hit or critical success rules for attacks if you would roll a 1. And yeah. Here it goes into how you gain levels and become stronger, and they sort of illustrated this with this little basically illustration here. All right, so here we have the chapter dealing with equipment, weapons, and more weapons, armor. Here we have some armor illustrations. And then we have lots of tables for gear and equipment. We have rules for shooting and throwing. And here we have the different, if you want to call it that, classes. But the classes were pretty simple, so they didn't really have a lot of special abilities, and it uses race as class mechanism. So dwarf and elf would be a class, and we have the fighter, the mage, and the normal standard adventurer. Right, so here it explains the different classes. Here we have a mage in his laboratory. And here is the spell section. So the very first edition, it included only a limited number of spells, and it also introduces a limited number of monsters. So we have an ogre, an orc, a goblin, troll, kobold, and a dragon type creature which is called a Tatzelwurm here. And this is a commentary from the inventor, or one of the inventors of this game system, which was not included in the original. This is because this is a re-release. So then what do we have here? Oh, all right, the Book of Adventures. So these were the first adventures that came with this with a basic box, and it leads you into the port city of Havana. And the first adventure deals with where you had to explore an old or a house, because these bad people, they were looking for something, and this is Silvana, which you had to rescue in the first adventure. And that was your hero. And here is this classic example of play, where with read aloud text with different roles, just like roles in the sense of character roles, where you could get an example of play just like in a script. Yeah. Another dynamic illustration, and here it deals with combat. So this book really basically, it's like in the Red Box Dungeons and Dragons book, the old one from the 80s, where you also had to play like an adventure to learn the rules. This is basically what this is, and this is then the first adventure that you could play. It's a solo adventure in the style of choose your own, where you have to read different paragraphs depending on what you did or what you do. And yeah, I remember this. So there was, because I played this, and there came a demon out of a mirror which had the exact same stats, I think, as you had. So you basically had to fight yourself. And this is one of the dungeon floors that came with the adventure. Dungeon floor plans, excuse me. All right. So they had these little illustrations here to illustrate the rooms. It was all black and white. There weren't any colorful illustrations. Look here, a swarm of rats attacking, and this kobold guy. And this concludes the first adventure, and this second adventure now was the first group adventure. And it was called Silvanas Befreiung, or Silvanas Rescue, basically. And yeah, there you had to rescue Sylvana out of the clutches of these, there were pirates, and explore a little underground complex. And this was my first adventure I ever played, and this was the adventure that got me hooked to role-playing games back in the mid and end 80s. Here we have an orc family, a cell with a skeleton in it. Yeah, so here the room where Sylvana was held. And again, a commentary. Yeah. All right, so that's the adventure book. And this, with this mask, this is from the set that I didn't own back then, where you had these pawns and floor plans and stuff. So this is a book that is also new to me for the Game Master. I think it has something like traps and stuff in it. Let's take a look at the content section. Yeah, all right. So we have traps, we have monsters, we have different kind of magical artifacts that are explained here. All right. So, and here, oh look, they really illustrated how these traps would function with little schematics. Classic pit trap. All right, like a room that is flooded. Yeah. Different kinds of doors. All right, so in here we have different kind of monsters. All right. And here we have, what do we, oh yeah, this is the listing of the pawns that are included here. And yeah, look, and these are the pawns that they had. Heroes and villains and NPCs. Yeah. And creatures. Demons, goblins, spiders, ogres, orcs, mummies, different kind of spiders. All right. And more traps. And they provide you with some riddles that where the players actually had to think. All right, interesting. So I will look through this again. And this is the first solo adventure. Nedim, die Tochter des Kalifen. I remember that one. And I think, let me look at these illustrations, because the Black Eye, das Schwarze Auge, was also known for somewhat revealing illustrations, if you get my meaning. So the female form was depicted in some illustrations pretty uncensored, and there was a thing in here where a woman, where she performed a dance, and here and she got rid of her clothing basically, and if you, the longer you watch the dance, the less stuff she wore, but if you watch too long, I think you were discovered or captured. I don't remember anymore, but I'm just going to, yeah, to look at these illustrations. Oh, okay. And here you had to, this is, here you had to answer a thief with a hand sign. And depending on what sign you choose, you have to, yeah, here you have to go to the paragraph. Yeah, this is what I mean here. I mean, you have to remember, this is the mid 80s and this is basically for teenagers. So, and they didn't bother showing, yeah, the female breast or form. I think, I don't know if you would find this like this today anymore, or you certainly didn't find this, I think, in Dungeons and Dragons publications. I don't think so. Yeah. So here again, you can see the little through the little transparent cloth that she holds. Oh, this is a manticore, a lion, scorpion, human hybrid creature. Ah, looks like you got shrinked in this adventure. I only have vague memories of this adventure because it is was so long ago. But I'll definitely play it again. Yeah, that was the first solo adventure. Yeah, it's a classic choose your own paragraph style adventure. Yeah, all right. And here in the appendix, it gives you some tips on how to convert this adventure into a group adventure, because it is possible. It provides you with a plan of the palace. Here we have the monster stats, and again a commentary. All right, so that was the first adventure. So here we have, this is an in-game newspaper that they published. And so this is a collection of in-game newspapers that were published for this role-playing game, and I think they are still published. So this is indeed also there's some in-game stories in here, adventure hooks. Sometimes they introduced new character types like this one here. So this is what today would be like a classic zine for a role-playing game, where new mechanics are introduced, like Cursed Scroll for Shadowdark. For example, this is what this was. It was called Der aventurische Bote. So Aventurien was the country where this took place, and Bote means like messenger, telegraph, something you could translate it, something like that. All right, so there's a collection in here. Oh, then this is a special, I don't know what this is, a special thing. Let's take a look. What's in here? Okay, it comes with pre-generated characters here. So it's a collection of pre-generated characters. What else? These are all pre-generated characters. Characters. Okay, and what is this? I don't know what this is, but a lot of characters in here. Okay, so here, a cardboard GM screen with some equipment, weapons, armor, and tables on the inside. This is how it looks like. And then we get to the floor plans. So these are like room tiles, basically. Floor plans. And yeah, and here are the standees. Oh, they look actually pretty nice. All right, so these are full color standees, larger one. What is this? Oh, I think these are these are cutout standees that you actually like paper miniatures, I think. Or is it just, yeah, it's front and back illustrated. So I think they're like paper miniatures. Yeah, I think you are supposed to cut them out. You don't have to fold them because there are stands included here. These are like terrain pieces. And these look nice. All right, so these are indeed to cut out. You're supposed to cut these out. And you could probably put these down on the floor plans. And here it comes with floor plans. So a pad of floor plans, a pad of character sheets. And these are combat protocols, basically sheets to keep track of combat. But there should be also some dice in here someplace. Oh yeah, in here. And a dice bag. Yeah. All right. So, oh no, not a dice bag. It's only, these are the standee, the stands for the standees. I think there are 10 of them. Yeah, and this is like all the dice you needed. 3d6 and 1d20. And I think those d6s, the 6 has a special symbol. This mask symbol, this is the 6. Oh, and look, there's also, I think, let's see, is this a 1 or a 20? Yeah, all right, and the natural 1, which is the critical success, is also a special symbol. It is the black eye. All right, so the quality of these dice is not so great, I must say. At least that is my impression from holding them, but yeah, but they're still pretty nice to have because of their unique symbols. Yeah, all right, so that is all the content of this Kaiser-Retro-Box, which is basically a trip down memory lane into the early beginnings of the popular and famous German role-playing game, The Black Eye. So now I don't know how do I get this back in here. I think it was like this. Yeah, and while I'm here, we will probably create some characters using this first edition rule set. Pretty simple. And yeah, maybe play 1 or 2 adventures. Yeah, so that is just a short unboxing, because if you have a YouTube channel, you can't just open a box without making a video out of it. So I had to do this unboxing now so that we can actually use the content of this box. Yeah, so, all right. I thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful remaining or upcoming weekend. And yes, thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe and stay healthy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.